Oké mensen, leuk dat jullie er zijn. Welkom bij deze webinar Is SaaS Management het nieuwe verdienmodel voor MSP's? Voor de mensen die mij niet kennen, ik ben George van Brugge, oprichter, eigenaar van Portland. We hebben vandaag in ons midden Gavin en George, co-founder en chairman van Augmentt en George Smith verantwoordelijk voor Business Development Internationally. Ik kom zo nog even bij hun terug om het stokje over te dragen. Wat wij doen en waar wij verweven zijn in ons DNA is het helpen van MSP's al 23 jaar met het kiezen voor de juiste producten, future-proof software en cloud-oplossingen om de hybride ICT-infrastructuur van jullie klanten optimaal te kunnen beheren en natuurlijk te kunnen beveiligen, want dat begint een steeds groter probleem te worden. We hebben die producten onderverdeeld in wat wij noemen Key MSP Products en als je dat lijstje daar rechts ziet, dan zijn dit ongeveer de velden waarvan wij geleerd hebben jullie in opereren. Wij doen het al 23 jaar. Die acroniem MSP, dat weten jullie, die bestaat nog geen 23 jaar. Ik denk dat wij het met elkaar gewoon hebben gecreëerd. Wat heette IT-dienstverleners of IT Service Organizations. En zo rond 2005 kwam ineens die zoveelste IT-acroniem erbij. Maar dat praat makkelijker. Iedereen weet vandaag de dag wat een MSP is. Dat zorgvuldig samengestelde portfolio wat wij bieden aan de markt. Dat zijn allemaal producten die wij zelf, en met name ik ook een rol in heb gespeeld natuurlijk, naar de Benelux gehaald heb, omdat het gewoon mijn passie is en ook nogmaals in ons DNA zit. We hebben natuurlijk een centrale portal voor al jullie minder bekende softwareproducten die bij ons inkopen voor jullie klanten, min of meer gebaseerd op de consumerization of IT, in termen van wij zijn ook jullie IT procurement verlengstuk voor dat stukje, zoals een aantal van jullie al weten. En natuurlijk altijd persoonlijk advies tot aan eerste lijns technische support als onze mensen daarvoor zijn opgeleid. Ik kon het niet laten om deze slide erin te zetten. Ik was shocked bij het nieuws dat Kaseya dat ook ging overnemen. Ik ken Kaseya heel goed. Ik heb dat product zelf naar de markt gebracht hier in 2005. Succesvol gelanceerd in Europa. Ik ben zelfs aan boord gegaan met ze. Daarna kwam Datto. Die hebben we ook heel snel gespot. Ik zal zelf nog lunch hebben in Londen met de CEO oprichter. G5 Max niet te vergeten. Ooit een keer ontmoet op een beurs. Dat was toen nog de Cebit. Dat heette destijds nog Hound Dog. Dat werd GFA Max, ja, zo van Nederlandse bodem. En daarmee wil ik zeggen dat wij min of meer de rol van Rainmaker in hebben genomen, als ik zo zelf terugkijk in de afgelopen jaren wat wij allemaal gedaan hebben. Maar wie had kunnen denken dat Autotask gekocht zou worden door Datto en Datto vervolgens weer door Kaseya. ConnectWise heeft toen de tijd Labtech overgenomen en Continuum en zo nog een hele hoop overnames. En natuurlijk zeer bekend bij Gavin als oprichter van Enable, wat hij succesvol heeft verkocht in 2012 aan Solarwinds. De vraag is alleen, en dat kwam bij mij hard binnen toen ik maandagavond zo'n uurtje of 3 lekker op Reddit in het kanaal /MSP de reacties zat te lezen. Waar overigens Kaseya zeer bekaaid van afkomt en dat toch wel het lievelingetje is van de industrie. Wie daar nou van profiteert? Nou, één ding weet ik zeker. Ik denk niet dat wij dat zijn. Ik denk dat het vooral de institutionele partijen zijn, de venture capitalists, die daar met hun financiële innovatie het meeste geld aan verdienen. Dus het komt een beetje in lijn met de bankindustrie. Is dat positief, is dat negatief? Ik weet het niet. Maar waar houdt dit op? Dus daarom ben ik altijd van mening dat je op zoek moet gaan naar frisse, nieuwe, leuke, mooie platformen. En kijk nou, ik ben al een half jaar bezig met Gavin en met George, mijn naamgenoot. Waarom? Omdat ik zie dat dit, en ik voel het gewoon, dat dit wel eens een heel groot probleem zou kunnen gaan worden. De gigantische wildgroei aan SaaS-applicaties, natuurlijk ook door COVID. Ineens moesten jullie allemaal laptops gaan inkopen en allerlei handgrepen gaan doen om te zorgen dat al die mensen ook echt daadwerkelijk thuis konden werken. Er werd van alles in elkaar geschroefd. De meeste waren goed voorbereid. Dat heb ik ook van een hele hoop IT-dienstverleners gehoord. Maar je ziet niet alleen dat het door COVID versneld is, maar iedereen gaat steeds meer SaaS-applicaties consumeren, alsof het apps zijn op je iPhone. Nou, wat betekent dat? Dat gebeurt vanaf persoonlijke apparaten, vaak in onveilige netwerken. We hebben natuurlijk daarom ook de cybersecurity kansen en datalekken alleen maar toeneemt. Dus ik was op zoek naar een partij die mij zou kunnen helpen met, ik heb het maar zelf even de Next Generation RMM genoemd, om het bedrijfsleven ook van repliek te kunnen dienen, daar waar het de born in the cloud MKB'ers betreft en de born in the cloud MSP's. Maar zeker ook omdat wij het hybride IT zo nastreven, een platform nodig om in één keer inzichtelijk te kunnen maken waar dan die cyberlekken zitten en wat dan precies shadow IT is, waar we natuurlijk allemaal mee van doen hebben. Dus uiteindelijk denk ik dat, is mijn oprechte opinie, dat als een MSP de SaaS-omgeving erbij pakt, is een volledigheid. Daarmee natuurlijk ook de Microsoft 365 of Google Workspace users makkelijker, eenvoudiger kan onboarden, offboarden, et cetera. Als je dat goed in de smiezen hebt, je uiteindelijk ook meer geld kunt verdienen. Je kunt nieuwe inkomsten voor jezelf creëren die recurring zijn, wat alleen maar waarde toevoegt voor je eigen onderneming. Je kunt besparingen opleveren voor jouw klanten en zeggen, dit kan nu draaien, dit hebben we afgesproken in de SLA, waarom heb je al die spullen draaien? Het is qua compliance niet echt handig, hè, gezien iedereen zich aan de AVG-wetgeving en GDPR moet houden. En datalekken is natuurlijk aan de orde van de dag. Uiteindelijk denk ik dat het vandaag vooral is waar jullie voor gekomen zijn. Gavin Garbutt. I will switch into English right now. I want to have a warm welcome for Gavin. Gavin and I go back again for about at least 15 years. While we're all really hard-working people in the MSP space, making sure that MSPs were able to move away from break-fix to that model of managed services. And I think that Gavin and his team and his co-founder Derek were one of the first rainmakers, pioneers in the MSP industry, successfully built Enable, sold it to Solarwinds, like I said before. And after that, he helped his daughter, he can tell you anything about it, by building her company, which is now a real successful marketing company. And then you can tell them yourself, Gavin, maybe you got bored or so, but you started again and you threw yourself back into the MSP space, which I'm very thankful because you built something really, really nice. I've been working with George Smith. He's going to do the demo today. Hard to do a good introduction in the Benelux market. We're again one of the first, movers and shakers, so to say. So I give it up for Gavin. Gavin, the floor is yours. I will do, the slide changes. So the floor is yours,
okay.
Gavin.
Thank you very much. Well, everybody, I apologize. I'm going to speak in English. And hopefully, if you have questions, please pop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions anytime. We will have a Q&A at the end. But I think my name's Gavin Garbutt, co-founder and chairman of Augmentt. I've been in the channel, as George says, for 22 years. We started Enable because I happened to ask a $10 million a year value-added reseller of IT products what could be the best thing he could do for his business. And he said, wow, if I could only remotely monitor all those devices, so when a customer called with a problem, I knew what the problem was and I could roll the truck with the right part the first time. And even better, if I could remotely fix it, that would be amazing. And so that was in 1999. And I said, come on. So we built the first remote monitoring and management multi-tenant solution for the channel. And that was really the birth of managed services. And our whole goal was to help the channel go from reactive, chaotic, and reactive firefighting mode to a proactive with monitoring, and then to managed services with the actual management and automation capabilities. So much like I'm sure most of you use a remote monitoring and management solution today, whether it's Dado or ConnectWise or Enable or Kaseya, and you've done a fantastic job remotely monitoring and managing the network and the devices associated with the network. But as we all know, IT has moved and is moving to the cloud at an incredible rate. And so what we're seeing now is the adoption of managing and securing SaaS application is going crazy. Our channel partners, we have over 370,000 devices under management, and that's growing. Well, actually, last week it grew 10%. So it had been monthly, but we're just on an escalating curve. And George, next slide would be great. And what we're seeing is that, I think all of you have seen this also, is with COVID, everybody goes remote. Everybody adopts SaaS applications, cloud applications. People are moving everything to the cloud, whether it's M365, whatever, Salesforce, QuickBooks, whatever financial application, etc. That are using, but companies are doing it because they want to improve employee and corporate productivity. And again, you think back 3 years ago, if you unplugged the network, well, then the company didn't operate, and you had to send the employees home to work from home because they couldn't work. And But today you can unplug the network and it's really not going to affect a lot of employees, and it's not going to affect the company's ability to perform because most of their applications sit in the cloud anyway. So the dynamic has changed, and while small and medium-sized businesses and small and medium-sized enterprises have adopted SaaS at an incredible level, the number of MSPs that are actually helping customers monitor, secure, and administer those applications is only just starting. And you look at the enterprise level, you look at companies like ServiceNow that do $6 billion a year in software sales, growing 32% year over year. The enterprise is just eating this stuff up. And it was the same thing for RMM 22 years ago. You know, IBM, Tivoli, CA, Unicenter, HP, OpenView were killing it with monitoring at the enterprise space, and there was nothing for the channel in a multi-tenant monitoring. So this is the exact same thing. There's a ton of solutions at the enterprise level for single tenant SaaS security and SaaS administration. And so this is why we introduced this multi-tenant solution so that the channel can get in there. And this is really that blue ocean opportunity. Again, just like 20 odd years ago, the first people to adopt managed services went in with a differentiator, a unique value proposition, and they killed it. They sold new services, they improved their productivity of their technicians, and they made huge profits. Managing and securing SaaS services is the exact same thing. This is a blue ocean opportunity. The people who get in there first will be able to go in and do audits, show value, which George will be showing us in a moment, and really upsell. And according to Gartner, CompTIA, Forrester, you name it, everybody's saying the same thing. If service providers do not adapt to the adoption of cloud and don't get in that mix, they're probably going to become obsolete, or at least at the very worst, it'll be the service provider will be relegated to what I'll call the utility, the traditional network and device management. So this is a really interesting thing. George, next slide, please. And this is just showing in the last 4 years, the number of breaches that are happening are just going through the roof. And you know, 775% increase. And that's pretty much actually exactly in line with the number of new applications that are being used by businesses. So the number of applications have gone from 10,000 to 150,000 applications, SaaS applications. And it's estimated that in the next 5 years, it's going to go to 1 million applications. So more and more point applications that small and medium-sized enterprises will be using. And that means more data going to more different places and more security risks going forward. George? And you can carry on from there also. So what we think about this is this is your classic iceberg, and above the water you've got all the applications that you know and you love: Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Salesforce, Zoom, Drop, the apps that you know your customers are using. But then below the iceberg are all of those applications that that employees are using because they've gone remote, they used it at their last job, it makes their life easier, whatever it is, not necessarily for malicious intent. But the problem is the data is going into all of these non-secure, non-compliant apps. And when the employee leaves, they either leave with that corporate data or they just turn off the application and the corporate data disappears into the cloud. And the company no longer has that information. So the problem is that a lot of this shadow IT, everything below the line, whenever an MSP does an audit, if customers say 50 employees, they'll say, yeah, great, I've got 12 applications that we use. And they do the audit, and it's always 3 to 4 times as many applications that are actually in use. So what you see is duplicate applications, you see a lot of unused licenses, And then you see a lot of non-compliant and non-secure applications in use. So going in and doing an audit of the SaaS applications allows you to help the customer optimize from a security, a cost perspective. And according to Gartner, 30 to 40% of all SaaS spend is actually wasted because of that duplicate, non-used applications, underutilized applications. So this is a real opportunity for MSPs to go in and show value to the customers, help them save money, and help them be more secure really easily. George? So we have a little poll here. Martin, do you want to translate that just so everybody gets it?
Yeah, the poll should be live right now.
Yeah. Launch the poll.
De poll was live, we got 1 vote in. Ik ga er gemakshalve even vanuit dat niemand een vertaling nodig heeft.
En de poll zit rechts onderin, hè? Voor de, ja, daar gaat hij. Dus rechts onderin bij dat driehoekje, het vierkantje en het...
Can you also view the live answers coming in, George?
Yes, I see the, everybody can see it. If you click on the triangle and the square and the little round on the right lower corner, we got 8 votes, 10 votes.
I thought maybe you would like to comment on the diversity of answers coming in as we go.
I got 15 votes, so let's wait for a little bit longer. We got a top 3. So 10 votes go to data loss, 3 to cost control, and 4 to compliance, based on those 18 votes that we have right now.
Hey, interesting. And you know, that's really interesting, just because as I think about this, of our Canadian partners, our US partners, our Australian and New Zealand partners, UK partners, so you know, different MSPs around the world, and different geos have different requirements, which we are very sensitive to, but that is pretty consistent across the board. So there we go. That's a universal truism, and what we find is that cost control, while is not top of mind for the MSP, for the client, it's actually, the bigger the client is, the bigger the savings can be, and they can be very significant savings. So it is an interesting one, and we'll talk about that a little more later. All right, George.
Super. Next.
So if you could just click that twice more also, please. So when we're with the, you know, our vision, our view is much like with managed services. In the early days, MSP started off with monitoring, and then they picked their stack of preferred hardware that they were going to manage for their customers. And they got really good at narrowing down all the different stuff that their customers had, so that they were trying to manage on a very consistent basis. And they weren't supporting, you know, 30 different servers and et cetera, et cetera. So the same concept applies with SaaS applications. Is the first thing we say is, it says, the second one says monitor the rest. Monitor all the SaaS applications that are used, so that the customer can make intelligent decisions about what should and shouldn't be used. And then you can then set up the rules to notify if an unapproved application is in use, and then to be able to block that application for the customer. But then the manage the few is what I really view as the future of managed services, where you're able to start charging, for example, $10, 10 euros per seat per month for Microsoft administration. So we'll onboard, we'll do all your password management, we'll do all your MFA management. If you have any problems, or somebody leaves their computer in a taxi and you need to lock them out, just give us a call and we can do that for you instantly. So having a multi-tenant solution to be able to administer all of your customers and be able to charge them on a monthly basis. So M365 and Google Workspace are the easy ones, because those are ones that the MSPs are more in tune with. But our view is later on, you're probably going to want to increase that stack of applications that you're going to be helping the customer administer. And then you just keep, for every application, you just charge another 10 euros and you keep building your stack. And that's for the administration. And then the security, of course, would be another cost. So manage few, monitor all, and help the customer protect that data, cost savings, et cetera, on a wide basis. Next, please. This is a crazy, this actually just kind of blows my mind, but according to Microsoft, only 11% of MFA accounts are enabled and only 22% of admin accounts are enabled. So these are Microsoft's number, and Microsoft has 1.2 million breaches every month. So not attempts, actual breaches. And they say 99.9% of those do not have MFA on, and 99% of those would not have been breached if they did have MFA on. So in North America, I'm not sure what's happening in your world, but just very recently, the cyber insurance carriers have said, if a customer does not have MFA on, they will not get cybersecurity insurance. So period. That's it. That's all. So no more cybersecurity because their premiums, because of all the SaaS penetrations and phishing, et cetera, the claims went up 700%. And so premiums are going up accordingly. And in North America, most MSPs actually can't get cybersecurity insurance. So this is really interesting. We're actually launching a program next month with an insurance carrier where they will be using our technology to understand what SaaS apps are being used and is MFA on for the MSP and the MSP's customers. And if so, the MSP is actually, and the customer will get a 15 to 30% discount on their insurance premiums. So these types of measures, I believe, will happen everywhere, just because as data moves to the cloud, so do the hackers. And so this is really interesting. So if we could look at the next poll. So this is a question I've asked to MSPs on my LinkedIn also, is are MSPs responsible for helping customers set up appropriate M365 security policies and for monitoring the strength of those policies? So if you gents wouldn't mind going to that poll. And
Poll is live. I'm showing results after like half the votes are in.
No, it says beëindigd. Sure, if it is live. So that's the second poll, isn't it?
Yeah, I had to make a third poll because I couldn't restart it.
Ah, okay, there you go.
I just
Sorry.
did it. No
Okay,
problem.
cool. Yeah, that's quite clear. That's like 12 to 1, 12 times yes and 1 no.
Yep.
Okay. Well, and that's what I get on the polls I've done on LinkedIn with MSPs, and I usually get like anywhere between 2,000 and 3,500 views, and it's basically 99% yes. So interesting, good, glad to hear it. George, next please. So when we think of, as an MSP, what's your security policy posture like for Microsoft 365 management? And again, I think back to the Gartner process maturity model, where you have chaotic and reactive policies, which in the Microsoft security policy and posture side, when it comes to enforcing and setting up, a reactive MSP would be one that sells the customer the products and they set up the policies, but they don't monitor the policies to see if they're being enforced on an ongoing basis. So Unfortunately for most MSPs, they haven't had the tools to do it. Yes, you could use the portal, the Microsoft portal, but then you have to go tenant by tenant by tenant by tenant. And if you have 100 customers, 100 tenants, then you would need 4 analysts full-time just doing that. So it's not practical, it's not affordable. A proactive MSP would set up the policies, it would have a system to monitor the policies on an ongoing basis, on a real-time basis, and they would then have windows blocked once a month to go in and enforce those policies, where they would just take a level 3 person and block their time and say, okay, here's all the problems, go in and fix them. And then a managed would be somebody who sells it, sets it up, monitors it, and enforces it on a real-time basis. And so that's what we want to do. Again, we want to help MSPs go from reactive to proactive to manage. And let's even skip the proactive. Let's go straight to manage, because you're going to have the technology to do it. And we're giving you the technology to do it. George, next, please. So this is, we're all seeing the MSP Microsoft 365 price increases. First time in a long time. Oh, poop, that's a drag, but oh, wow, that's an opportunity. So you've got to go and talk to the customers about this. And, you can just send them an email saying, sorry, Microsoft's increasing the price, here it goes. Or you can take it as an opportunity to upsell and cross-sell your customers. So the hack that our MSP partners are doing is they're going to customers and saying, look, Microsoft's got a price increase. We'd like to come and talk to you about this, and we have a solution for you. They run Discover, our Discover audit product. They show the customer, here's all your duplicate applications. Here's all your applications, your licenses that are not in use. Here's non-compliant, non-secure applications. Let's consolidate the apps that are in use and save you a whole bunch of money, which is going to way more than pay for your Microsoft license increase. And we're going to also now monitor your environment on an ongoing basis to make sure that you do stay compliant and that you're not wasting money. Does that make sense, Mr. Customer? Like, who's going to say no to that, right? You're going to help them save money, and you're going to help them keep their data secure, and so really easy. The second part of this opportunity is when you're in there, and you'll see this in a second in the demo, you can do an audit with our secure product, where you do a Microsoft 365 security audit, and you can show the customer exactly all the problems that they have in their environment and how terrible it is. And then you can say to the customer, okay, well, here's the report. Here's all the attempted breaches. Here's who's being attempted. Here's how bad your security posture score is and your individual security scores are. Would you like us to fix it? And the customer can say no. And if the customer says no, you say, well, would you mind please signing this waiver saying that we showed you how bad your network is and you have chosen not to fix that, and we are not responsible if you get hacked. Of course, the customer is not going to want to sign that. So he's going to probably do the service, and then you get all this project business. And then again, you're monitoring their policies on a real-time basis so that you can then be enforcing them in a multi-tenant solution as opposed to a tenant by tenant by tenant by tenant. So huge increase in productivity. And you'll see with the product, you're going to be able to have level 1 or even administrative people doing a lot of this work. So you can release your level 3 technician from having to do stuff that we now consider mundane, but is critical, has been critical stuff, but can be done by a level 1 or administrative person. So there's just a hack for you that could be a really great way of tackling that conversation. George, next. You'll get a copy of this. All the nice things people say about us. Of course, I never put anything bad up. But what I can tell you is, just like in our Enable days, we are absolutely committed to our partners' success. We will do everything to help our partners be successful. And Portland and George are our partners for your geo. They are our sole partners. We're not going to have a whole bunch of partners. George is the man, and Portland is the team. And we're excited to be working with them and to really go deep and help the channel evolve from traditional managed services to also doing cloud managed services. So we're just very excited. And we want to work with George because George is committed to the channel also. And this is not just about selling you stuff. This is about helping you be successful and helping you make more money. And that's all I care about. Honestly, if we achieve that, I know we'll win also, but we want to prove it first. George, next slide, please.
Couldn't agree more.
So now George Smith from Augmentt is going to walk us through the product and see if I was creating spaceships for you to sell or...
Maybe let me budge in before you start your presentation. Als iemand nog vragen heeft, laat ze achter in de chat en ik zal ze vertalen voor George, zodat hij ze mee kan nemen in de demo. There you go, George. Take the stage.
Yeah, so you can take over control,
Perfect,
George.
thank you. All right, let's get this fired up. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Bingo.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. As Gavin and George mentioned, I am the other George. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, and we're going to go through a kind of quick overview of the Augmentt platform. So just for clarity, Augmentt is the company, Augmentt is the platform, and within the platform, we have three main modules that we'll be going through today: Discover, Secure, and Engage. So we'll start off with Discover, which in a nutshell is the module that is shedding a light on shadow IT. The purpose of Discover is to focus on SaaS audits and then SaaS monitoring moving forward. So the problem that we're solving is the idea that no one's really on the network anymore. Everyone's working from home. MSPs have done a great job of securing the network, securing the castle, but the workers aren't in the castle anymore. They're all out in the fields. And so we need some new tools to help us see the type of applications that the people are using, because as we know, it is so easy to sign up for cloud applications today. All you need is a browser and possibly a credit card. So what we can do here is kind of starting up here, we've got all this information, which of course we can export via PDF, CSV, Excel. We've got a date filter here, which you're all very familiar with. And then we've got our logo up here. It's important to note Augmentt is a white label solution, so you can have your MSP logo here, or as we're a multi-tenant solution, which we can drill into our different tenants, you can also give them read-only access and brand their sort of read-only view of their data. So we take a look at healthcare here. As I said, we can see all the SaaS usage across our entire IT estate, as well as drill into specific customers. So if we look at our healthcare client, we can start getting a better picture of their SaaS usage. So we can start with some user filters here. We can see things by department, by job title, or even by employee. So we know if there's a particular department or somebody specifically at one of our clients that is really bad for always signing up to SaaS, we can jump straight there to see what it is they're doing and what they're using. It's important to note that Discover, at Augmentt, we also have probably one of the largest SaaS databases in the world with over 22,000 applications that we're bringing information on, and that's growing every day. So there's a lot of information that we're able to capture. Whenever that information comes in, we automatically, out of the box, give it scores for approval, risk, and productivity. But obviously the MSP can change those themselves and give their own scores. You're also able to set global rules for certain applications and then exceptions for specific customers within those rules. So a great example of that might be Facebook, where you might say that, Facebook, okay, is approved, and it's pretty low, it's pretty medium risk, but it's very low productivity. But I want to set an exception for my marketing client where, it's still medium risk, but it's high productivity. And that way, whenever I drill into my lists and can start using these filters, I don't need to worry about Facebook for marketing. So let's take a look. We've got our healthcare client here. Here's the list of applications that we're using. Let's say, for example, I've just signed up this healthcare client and we're getting them standardized on Microsoft. So one of the things I want to see immediately is what are some of the high-risk applications that are being used. So I can drill into this list, and we can see here that G Suite is being used. That's odd to me because we have everyone on Microsoft. So why is G Suite being used? What are they using? Are they sharing information to Google Drive? That's a big no-no for a healthcare client. So what we can do is, we can see the actual specific users that are doing it. So here I can see that it's Carmen and Bradley have been using this application, but I can also see how often or how frequently they've been using it. And this is concerning for me because I can see that Carmen and Bradley have actually been using this application almost every day for the past few weeks. So Franz, I see your question in terms of how we gather this information. The quick answer is we have an agent that we deploy. It goes to the machine or device, and it's essentially parsing browser traffic. Second question there, can Augmentt block these applications from being used? So at this time, no, we're not able to. We're just getting the full picture. So the idea being that you can pick up these applications that you don't want to be used and then set them up with your DNS filter tool or your RMM to block it accordingly and then monitor the usage. Because what we find as well is, let's use a file. Sorry, Gavin, you have a question?
So the blocking is coming out very soon.
The thing I would add though is it's interesting is, and you probably will understand this yourself, if you want to stop people using a certain application, let's say you don't want people using Box because you want to be able to see the types of file sharing applications people are using, so you block Box. The next day, whoever was using that will go and find the new file sharing tool and maybe use Dropbox or WeTransfer or something else. The point I'm making is that's why it's so important to continue monitoring the SaaS usage, because people are creative. SaaS is easy to adopt, and so you can't begin to protect what you can't see, and this is giving you the full list. Another example is something like Slack. So again, in this example, we've standardized people on Microsoft, but we remember last year, our client said, our team loves Slack. Slack's our communication tool of preference. We want to keep using Slack. No problem. However, 6 months later, we can see actually that we've got Slack here. It's our communication tool. It's approved. Everything's fine. But only 2 people are actually using it compared to Microsoft Teams, which now that we've introduced people to, more people are using Teams. So that gives me information that I can go back to my client with and say, I can show you key quantitative data that shows that more people are using Teams than Slack. So do we still need to be paying for Slack licenses? So with this information, it gives you, the MSP, the ability to bring SaaS usage information to your clients to make them or to help them give an informed decision on their stack that they want to use from different components, whether it's risk or productivity. So that's Discover. We'll quickly hop tracks to Secure. So Secure is our module that is focused on Microsoft 365 security. And it's very, very popular at the minute for a number of reasons. Microsoft is obviously one of, if not the most used cloud application in the world. As Gavin alluded to, they've recently increased their pricing. So there is no better time to go to your clients, as you have to have that conversation about a price increase anyway, to start bundling in security and management services. We at Augmentt have made that very easy to do by using Secure. So again, if we use my healthcare client, what we're doing is simply using the Microsoft API to bring in a lot of the existing information from that particular client.
George, maybe if I can add on to that, because I see Gavin has asked a question a couple of minutes back, and I think it's also in relation to how you add specific new types of applications that their customers always or seem to be able to find.
Yes.
So he states, in the Netherlands, we have multiple different programs, like in the UK, US, for example, Snelstart or Unit 4. How does Augmentt monitor these applications? How do you handle these expectations which aren't in a database? Because, well, of course, customers always find a way.
Yes, it's a great question. So we've got sort of our list of applications, but we can see here, because we're looking at the web traffic, we're able to sort of identify SaaS applications that people are using. We're not interested if people are sitting on ESPN or other websites. We're purely focused on cloud applications. So for example, here, Reddit's more of a website, but in this instance, we can identify it as a SaaS app. And so we can go in and actually see the total web traffic. What's this application? I don't currently have it added to my Discover Stacker report, so I can simply click the plus button and add it. I can enter the name. I can immediately categorize it as I wish, whether it's restricted, and then I can submit that. and add notes on it, and then Reddit will pop up here and kind of be added to the continuous monitoring of the SaaS applications that we want. Because even though we have 22,000, there is lots of different applications out there. There's some very obscure ones. There's more being built every day. And so this is the method by which you can actually check to see those ones that we don't currently have in our database, and you can add it to the list that you want to watch.
Interesting. Does that answer your question, Gavin? I think it does.
Okay, great.
And the good news is that this is desktop and cloud applications. So we pick up both of them. And George, you can see based on the icon that George is pointing at, that you can see which one it is, because the one will be highlighted if it's a desktop or a cloud application.
Yeah, so Zoom's a really good example of that if someone's using, www.zoom.com, or if they're using the desktop version. So quickly hopping back to Microsoft, what we're doing here is we've got 4 main reports. 2 are external, 2 are internal. The first one is the threat report. And this is, as I said, we're just using the Microsoft API. Because we're multi-tenant, this is now giving MSPs the ability to quickly jump between different tenants to see sort of the health of a particular client's M365 environment. So if we come back to healthcare, what we would do is we want to go to our healthcare client and say, Mr. Client, there is a lot of risky things happening in this environment right now. If we use our date filter to go back over the past 3 months, we can see that this line is continuing to grow. You are a dentist in Rotterdam, so I don't know why we have risks coming from America, from Russia, from Spain, from India, from Australia. We can see we have high, medium, and low risks coming in from all over the globe. Your Microsoft identity score is only 30%. Your secure score is even worse. Some of the types of risk detections we're getting include things like impossible travel, leaked credentials. The top 5 accounts at risk, we have a global administrator in this top 5 list, which is a massive concern. And again, if you're able to show that a C-level executive is in this list as well, that's a massive concern too. And then we can actually drill into the types of risks that we see. So we can see we've got 20 high risk, 50 medium, and over 100 low. And we can actually expand the list here to get more granular information if we want everything from the severity, the location, the date, the user account associated with it, and the type of risk detection. We can also look at things like Mfa status. So you have 4 accounts at risk, because according to Microsoft, as we know, 99.9% of compromised accounts they track every month were not using Mfa. So here's a really simple step that we can take to increase our security by getting these guys who aren't using Mfa to get Mfa turned on. We also have things like inactive accounts. Did you know that these 3 accounts are sitting inactive and idle? That's a great backdoor for bad actors to get into your Microsoft environment. So what we're doing here is we're showing the client that, there's a lot of bad things happening in this environment. There's a couple of fires. I can help you put this out, but you should be signing up to our cybersecurity package, or however it is you like to kind of sell your services. And this is something this
is where if they say no, you get them to sign the waiver.
That's it. And that it's a very effective tool, because once you put that in front of them, it really changes their way of thinking. You can't turn around to the mechanic who says, your car's got all these problems wrong with it, drive it down the road, watch it blow up, and turn around and blame the mechanic. It's the exact same for MSPs who are highlighting risks. And if there is any litigation or legal issues, you can simply refer back to this correspondence, as well as the signed sort of agreement you have to highlight that there was a denial of service in association with these risks.
And just to add what we do with that report, so that's the threat and policy report. Our partners can go to unlimited customers and prospects. So if you have 1 million prospects, you can go and run this report on all of them for free. Mm-hmm. So we're investing in you guys and giving you the software to go out and do that holy poop report, so the customer can see everything that's wrong and why they need your premium security services, and what's your existing MSP doing for you, because this is terrible. You're going to get breached soon. So this is a real opportunity to upsell and cross-sell customers and prospects and our partners are having amazing success with this. But you can do it. You can do it like our partners can do it to all of their customers and prospects. We're saying, go ahead, knock yourself out, and win the business at no cost.
So as we know, MFAs obviously a hot topic and incredibly important, and a very instant step that you can take as an MSP to dramatically increase the security of your clients' environments. So what we have here is our MFA report that is showing, who actually needs MFA, what accounts require it, and then who actually has it turned on, as well as the type of authentication method they're using, whether it's a specific application, they're using text message, security key, or other. The really cool thing about this, though, is because we're multi-tenant, we can get a high-level view of all our companies across the board. And as Gavin mentioned, this is something that is going to be incredibly popular and in some cases necessary to acquire cybersecurity insurance. It's this report that you can export and take to your insurance provider to say, I have over, of my clients, I have over 80% of them that need MFA have it on, and of the ones that have it on, 100% are actually using it. Obviously, with Acme Legal, this is a concern. This is the client that we want to be reaching out to immediately to sort of get them on the MFA train. But this is a report that we see being hugely popular and advantageous to MSPs in the near future. The other internal report is security posture. So again, if we go into, let's pick healthcare here again. So we know that Microsoft often gives lots of different recommendations and tips for ways that you can improve the health of your Microsoft portal. The problem is that they're scattered everywhere and they keep changing where those recommendations live. The other issue is that they're different for every single client. And so MSPs maybe aren't, it's not easy to be proactive with fixing these issues because you have to go into each different portal, identify what needs to happen, log out, clear your cache, go to the next portal. Whereas with Augmentt, it's very easy just to click between your different tenants and see what the problems are. So again, if we go back to healthcare, you guys are all familiar with the traffic light system. Green is good, amber needs attention, red is something serious we need to look at. So keeping with the theme of MFA, we can see here admin MFA is only partially configured. It's associated with privileged accounts. You have one of two privileged accounts that don't use MFA. Okay, tell me more about that problem. So we click in, it gives us some more information about what the issue is and what we need to do to fix it. And then what we've done is actually connected the dots. So we can see here that it's actually Carmen that needs to have her MFA turned on. And then using the engage module, which I'll come on to in just a sec, it's very, very easy for us to go and remediate that. If we just go back to some of the other issues, just to give you some other examples, login portal branding and feature in place is false. I can click in and it's simply highlighting that a best practice is to have your individual tenants log in branded so that when they come to log in, they know it's their Microsoft portal. It's not a phishing attempt to get credentials leaked. It's a very easy thing to do to help increase security. So working your way through this list, you want to turn as many red and yellows to greens as possible. And what that will lead to is a better looking summary report. If we click to someone like software in this instance, who is an example where we've done this, this is what you're paying me for. I'm sure you guys have all had that problem as IT providers where clients say, everything's working, what am I paying you for? Or everything's broken, what am I paying you for? This is one of the reports that makes it very easy for them to understand your value. You can see that we're not going to always be able to prevent incidents that happen or attacks that come our way, but it's a lot better than having 100. The incidents are going down because we've increased your identity score and your security score. We're getting multi-factor authentication up towards a higher percentage of registration and enablement. Here is the actual incidents that I've prevented. I've intercepted these signy risk-in detections. I've intercepted these risky user detections. I've blocked these different countries. I've blocked these different IPs and blacklisted them. And for a total of preventing 15 incidents this month, remediated 6 and recognized 9 and dealt with them. And you can export that, include it in your weekly, monthly, quarterly reports to help show the value that you're providing and why they need to be part of that program. So that's secure. Quickly hopping tracks to engage. Engage is focused on actually helping you, the MSP, and your technicians save time and, more importantly, money with regards to managing 80 to 90% of the tickets that we know come through for Microsoft and Google. We will be adding more applications to this module in due course, such as the most commonly ones, your Zoom, Salesforce, Adobe, things like that. But as of today, it is available for both Google Workspace and also Microsoft Office, as you can see here with this client. So with Secure, we were able to identify a few people didn't have MFA on. With Engage, it makes it very simple with a click of a button to turn it on. Job done. So within seconds, I can identify some of the things I need to do and turn it on. The other things we can do are things like password resets, blocking sign-in, sign out of all apps, manage groups, manage licenses, and add and remove users. So what this allows you as an MSP to do is all of a sudden allow sort of, whether it's L1 technicians, office administrators, even HR can begin to sort of remediate some of these tickets that come through. That's going to free up your senior technicians to focus on the more complex or lucrative tasks or projects. It's going to free up money. And it's this straightforward. I'm not a technical person, but I can now reset Aidan's password. Am I auto-generating it, or am I manually creating the password? I'm going to auto-generate it. And am I sending it to myself, or am I sending it through to Aidan's boss? We're already using the API. We have all the users in there. Reset password, done. For another example, let's look at maybe Aidan's actually leaving the company. So we're offboarding him at the end of the week. Again, we've baked in all the best practices for offboarding. So it's going to reset his password, sign him out of all the applications, block him from signing in. And I can actually give another user access to his email, his OneDrive folders, so we're not losing any of the correspondence or files or folders associated with his account. So that's nice and neat. And clicking next, we can then review that and then delete Aidan, which I'm not going to do in the demo environment. We want to keep Aidan around for now. The most important thing I'd highlight here is that, in the real world, someone phones up, they want Aidan offboarded at Friday at 5 p.m. Use the MSP can say, yes, that's no problem, but it's after hours, so I'm going to charge you time and a half, whatever it is. Let's say it's 90 minutes of work. So you're going to bill 90 minutes to offboard Aidan, but it's only going to take you 5. So again, increasing the speed and efficiency and maximizing your margin when it comes to actually managing some of the SaaS applications. With the hope then as well that once we get other applications in, instead of having 17 different portals open, you can just offboard Aidan from Microsoft, come in here, click the next application, go through the same process, and even dummies like me can get it done quickly. So with that, we've covered Discover, Engage, and Secure. If anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer those. And I will stop sharing my screen, and I believe we have a couple more slides to finish off with.
Yeah, we did get a question from Franz. I'm not sure if you can see it. George?
Is the agent on RDP, AVD, Citrix able to distinguish the applications per user? I'll have to ask that to one of our sales engineers, Franz. Let me just pop that over in a separate chat, and I can get an answer for you before the end of the call.
Yeah, I think a very interesting point that you made is that by using Augmentt, you allow your your more experienced technicians to be able to help clients in a more effective manner and not be able to, be working on more easier tasks without sounding disrespectful, but I think it's a really great point. I think you should try to highlight it a little bit more.
Yeah, and the just to give you an idea, for the Discover product gets rolled out through your RMM solution, and the full deployment, setup, configuration, everything for a tenant, whether it's 50-person, 1,000-person organization, would take a total of about half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
The full setup of Secure on a tenant takes 5 to 10 minutes. The full setup of Engage on a tenant takes about 5 minutes. Matter of fact, if you set up Secure, you're also automatically basically setting up Engage. So the whole idea is this is super easy and fast. And what's the cost? All right. Should we go to the next slide? I love that. So all 3 modules those are 3 modules, and they each have separate costs. And everything is on a per month basis. We don't sign you up for long-term contracts or anything like that. So you're not getting locked in. Don't worry. If you don't like us after a month, tell us to jump in the lake and we'll jump. So we're here to support you. George, can you bring up that slide on the deck?
I think it's the last slide, George. There's just gives details on the promotion.
So with Discover, we're giving you 100 licenses for free. So there's no cost, there's no strings attached. Like you will get 100 licenses for free, use them, off you go. You're also going to get some free secure and engaged prospecting licenses, and you're going to get NFR licenses for you to use within your environment. So what we want you to go out and use the product, like in your environment, in your customer's environment, test it out, feel good about it, start making money on it, show customers problems, and then we want to earn your partnership. Because we want this to be a long-term thing, and we want to earn it every single month. And the month that we don't, you can. We also have a thing called Augmentt Academy, which is an education portal, and it has all the sales and marketing programs for MSPs. You know, how do you position this with your customer? How do you price it? All of that kind of jazz. What do SLAs look like? Everything like that. So we have a full portal which you have full access to for that. So you can get going for free. And then the ongoing cost, just so give you an idea on the biggest thing, is we have this thing called a site license. So basically for I'm sorry, I apologize. I did not do the mathematical translation. I'm gonna suggest, don't quote me exactly, it's $199, but we charge in euros and every other currency in the world. So it would come out to about, let's call it 150 euros for argument's sake, per month. And that will allow you to manage for Discover. It would be the same for Secure, same thing for Engage, but it allows you to manage all your customers.
Yeah, great.
So
Before
the cost per seat is very, very, very low. And we have partners who are charging customers for the Discover, for the monitoring of SaaS apps. They're charging them anywhere from $2 to $20 per month. And on the security services, they're charging them $20 to $80 a month. On the administrative services, they're charging them $10 per seat, per application per month. So this is very, very high margin services for the MSP.
Yes, so not only great margins, but also great service. That's what I'm hearing, George.
Well, it's great service for the MSP to deliver to the customer, because again, you know, Frost just came out with a report from I think it was 1,200 executives, and their most important part of their IT were their SaaS applications. So their businesses could not operate without their SaaS applications, and that was deemed the most important part of their IT now. So we're in a changing world, and here's an opportunity for you to get in front of it and help your clients grow their business.
Exactly. But maybe before we end, there's a couple of last questions in the chat. George, maybe you could, George Smith, in this case, could you look at the chat with me for a real quick second and see if we have any burning questions that you can answer quickly? For instance, I think you already answered Francis one. But of course, Sasha also put in a question.
Oh, Sasha cannot identify / block an end user device that application is being used. Sasha, do you mean coming back to Discover? If you want to block the device because you can see that they're using a restricted application, that's not something you can do through Augmentt, but at the moment, but as Gavin said, it is coming. Whereas for Engage, you can, let's say someone forgets their laptop on the train or at the airport, they notify you. You can go in and sign them out of all the applications for Microsoft and Google using Engage, and then block them from signing in. So
Great technical workaround there is already available, but you're still making it into a service.
And then I see a question from as well, integration with PSAs. So that is something that's on the product roadmap, but at the minute we are able to talk to PSAs. You would send through email. So a great example of that is we actually have alerts built in. So coming back to MFA, if you want the ability to get everyone signed up to MFA, that's great. But what happens when someone turns it off? So we have the ability to set up notifications or send alerts via email through to your PSA if an administrator turns off their MFA or if a user turns off their MFA, because obviously it's great making sure people do it, but then what happens if next week they turn it off? So you can get alerts for that, and that's something we're going to continue to build out. I see Pierre, so for 450 euros, I can have 3 site licenses for my customer base. That sounds about right, Pierre. I will just convert to US dollars, but essentially, yes, you can get a site license for each module. So a site license for Discover, up to 1,000 seats, site license for Engage up to 1,000 seats, and the same for Secure. You can buy those all separately, stack them, and up to 1,000 seats for $99 per module. So again, we've tried to make it remove as many of the barriers as possible, including cost. It's month-to-month billing. We want to earn your business every month. That also keeps our product roadmap honest in terms of the things we promise our customers. We hold ourselves accountable to delivering those, and really actually truly want to partner with MSPs. I don't understand other vendors that say it and then say here's a 3-year contract. So we want to practice what we preach, and are looking forward to really, I guess, empowering and championing the MSPs that currently see the writing on the wall and know that this is the next big phase of IT and managed services. So get in early and be a main point of difference, grow and accelerate your business, and use Augmentt to do it.
Yeah, and you do pay in local currency.
Yeah, we can bill in euros.
Super.
Any other questions?
I think the last question I've seen unanswered was the one from Arne, which is how was the user department or how's the user or / department info gathered? If you're just using MS Azure AD or any others, well, I can imagine the answer is
Correct.
any others.
Yeah, mainly Azure AD, but also connecting through the Google and Microsoft API. So it's just bringing in everything. And then as we'll show you on your onboarding, we've made it very simple to filter that user list, because obviously you'll have shared accounts, admin accounts. So you can sort of mark the ones that you actually want to manage and track, because obviously bringing in everything, that can be quite a big list, but we have a step to make sure you can massage it and reduce it so that it's a nice clean list for you to use in Augmentt moving forward.
That's great. I see the questions have dried up a little bit. Sounds like a great application, very easy to use and very easy value found. So if there aren't any more questions, I would like to give the floor to George and George to maybe have some closing words together.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on documentation?
Thank everybody joining us today. I want to, of course, thank Gavin and George for the presentation. I think from a personal note, it really feels like 15, 17 years ago. I see this as a turning point in our industry. The fact that we have to become very friendly. I'm already a friendly company. You're a friendly company. But if you look at what is happening at those real large companies out there, PSA and RMM, I think that is not the way to go. So it feels like a revolution or a natural evolution, like I wrote in my blog a couple of days ago. It feels good, and I think that we have got something in our hands as a group of technologists that we can benefit all from, so to say. Just trying to find the right English words, so to say. So again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you guys for doing all the prep work, etc. And I just chatted the link for the free Discover license. You can find it on our website, on our product page. Manage Your Business is the name of the page on our website. We created a new website. It's very easy. And for the rest, we've got this all recorded. We'll send you the link of that in an email. And I hope I will talk to you soon. And sorry that we are running a little bit late, like 7 minutes. But what I can say is that the 1st of June, we will have an event, a real fun MSP event in the Harbor Club in Vinkeveen, center of Holland. There's going to be emails sent out, of course, a lot of PR around it. We're going to have speakers, like Augmentt and a couple of other companies like ConnectWise and Acronis, etc. And it's going to be, like a drinking beer, stand in the sun, have a couple of bitter balls and hamburgers, good food, and just chat with each other. And the last one we did pre-COVID was in the Harbor Club in Amsterdam already years ago. That's how it feels. So you're all invited. Of course, again, invitation will be sent out soon. And I hope to see you there on the 1st of June. So again, thank you all, and I'll talk to you soon, guys.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to seeing you in June.